All right, we are live. Welcome in, everybody. Just give a few minutes for everybody to jump in here. We'll be doing some live DLMMing. We'll be talking about one-sided positions and permanent loss and a few other things. Come check us out. All right, let's see here. I want to check out a few of these coins. We're going to get pulled up here. All right, welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. We're live. Let me pull up my screen here. All right. We're going to be following a few different coins, trying to see if we have any new coins popping off, and also take a look at some ones that we're currently DLMMing, some ones that have done well, some that are down a lot. So we'll be taking a look at a few different things. Also talking about one-sided positions today, why we do them, how to do them well, as well as just talking about the market in general. Thanks for joining in, everybody. Historical Realms, hello, hello. Melody, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Howdy, it's been a while. Yeah, we've been enjoying the Christmas break. Spending a lot of time with family. I had to drive to visit my mom. She's about 2.5 hours away where I live now. And then we also did some Christmas with my wife's family yesterday. We both have blended families, meaning that both of our families had gotten divorced and remarried. And so we have like 4 different Christmases that we go to, which is a lot of fun, but it's also exhausting. And so I'm actually really, really excited to be back. As much as I love visiting with family, I was like constantly just wanting to be on Twitter and be looking at the market and stuff like that. Because honestly, I just love doing this so much. And glad to be back doing these lives. Like the movie 4 Christmases with Vince Vaughn. Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, it's a lot of traveling, honestly. So it's a good bit, but it's fun. And yeah, I'm glad to be back here doing the live streams with y'all. Glad to grow. Obviously, we've been doing a bunch of giveaways. We have our final giveaway based on the raffle that we did. And so that one will be going out a little bit later after I finish streaming. I'll be posting the winner of that. And then we'll be done with the giveaways, which is good because as much as I love the giveaways and doing them, like giving back is pretty big. Obviously, like my main form of what I want to do and what I want to grow is dealing with my content, dealing with DeFi, dealing with helping with educating and things like that. So that's why we are doing what we're doing. I've been looking at a few different platforms. Obviously, I'm using Meteora. I've been messing around with DeFi Tuna as well, both on the lending side. I guess I still somehow have like a tiny amount of SOL in here, both on the DeFi side, the lending side and the DLMMing or concentrated liquidity marketing actually on DeFi Tune. It doesn't connect into Meteora yet. It uses Orca pools. And then obviously we're using our good morning, good night, taking a look at a few different tokens. Some people were talking about Snay Swarm, which is still at 26 million market cap and seems to be moving pretty well here. Actually a pretty good sign that it's moved up from where it is now. So we might be looking to get into that one. Also Pingu is an interesting one that went up a lot and then came back down. Obviously, like the market as a whole is down. It looks like we're going to see a pretty big downtrend here for SVMA. So we might look at that. And then Mira, after taking a pretty large dump, tried to fight back up, but is down a lot. And you can see the lines crossing here multiple times. This is my MACD indicator. I'll be using this more often. I've had a few people mention it, and so I've looked into this indicator and see like how I can use it to better be able to make trades and understanding when the market or when a token chart is going to do one thing or the other. So Fuji, Tokenomics guy, love you, bro. Hey, thanks, man. Look forward to learning how to DLM. I already wanted to know. Hey, awesome, man. Glad that you're here. Fuji did win one of our giveaways. So thoughts on UFD, Seahorse, and Pingu. Seahorse was one I don't really like that much. UFD I do like. I've been spot buying UFD. I haven't DLM'd it as much, but I probably should be. Is this the right one? Let's see. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, it's up a lot right now. I ended up buying a bunch as it came down here, spot buying on my on the Vector app. But it does look like it's about to potentially make a retrace back down based on the MACD indicator. Let's see. I'm still learning how to use it. Please explain about the Mira story. Yeah. So obviously like Mira was doing really, really well. Let me go to their Twitter. Like someone had mentioned in Discord earlier, like they just don't see how this could do well long term, right? The idea of this was to like had a dad who was dying and like whose daughter was dying and how he just like couldn't do anything for her. And so he wanted to give back to you know the organizations that help fight what she had, right? Fighting cancer. And so like, you know, he posted a lot about it, like seeing just $18 million like in his wallet. Like that's crazy numbers, right? And so people were wanting to send this, right? People, obviously some people might have been in it to make money for themselves. Other people might have been in it to try to support him. Whatever the reason, people were sending this Mirror token and it was doing really, really well. We can see here, it went all the way up to 80 or almost 80 million, like 79, 78 million, which was overnight for me. So I was sleeping, unfortunately. But it did pretty well. You can see that it dribbled down a little bit, but like overall it's doing pretty good. I started DLMMing it like around over here and like was earning some fees, and then just like, you know, out of nowhere it dipped, and that was because he had posted. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, this one right here, an update. And so he talked about this, but basically, he basically said like, you know, he's okay if it goes to zero. Like at this point, they've gotten a ton of money, and like he's going to be giving it all away. He does other stuff that he focuses on, and he feels like this is going to like take up a lot of his time if he tries to like, you know, support this and make it like go long term. And so he's like basically saying that in about 12 hours, he's going to start liquidating $1,000 worth of Mirror every 10 minutes perpetually. And then he'll let us know if it changes. He says, you want to reg it to zero, go for it. At the end of the day, we set out to raise 200K and we'll end up with at least 1 million towards our rare disease research. No matter what, it's been a win for the world, blah, blah, blah. So like, you know, people are really excited for him. You know, I'll be buying more in support. Like Soul community wanted to get behind something positive, you know, so like people like, you know, are saying this is amazing, really happy for him. So like people are like kind of happy that it's gone down. And normally, like, I don't know if that means that like people would want to then just like send this even more, or if it means that people really are like, like we're glad that it helped, but like there's not really any vision now. Like if he just sells off, right? Like what's the vision for this? And so, yeah, I think that's why it's doing what it did. Obviously, it went way down, and then there's a little bit of fight back because I think people thought it could do well. But overall, it's just kind of dying right now. So I'm going to wait to see. I ended up selling some of mine down here and then some of mine at the top, just getting out, trying to reduce my losses as best as possible. We had earned a bunch of fees, which obviously helps offset the loss, but definitely still in a loss overall. Didn't expect it to just tank like this. And so, yeah, just going to continue to watch it. So that's what happened. All right, let's move on from Mirror. We'll keep watching it and see what it does. We're watching SVMA, which just made a cross back over here, did a little double cross action. This is a low market cap coin that's still fairly new. So honestly, these indicator charts are going to be like not the best to try to figure out like what's going on with them. But SVMA seems like it might be good runner. UFD here still looks like it's going sideways, but could go into a downtrend. So we're going to keep watching it. SNI Swarm, this is a really good sign. You can see here using this this new indicator that I'm using, the MACD. You can see here it came down, which you can see was signaled by the crossover of this orange line over the blue line, which caused it to then go down. It started to come back, looking like it might actually reverse here, which you can see, but it didn't. it didn't actually cross. And then a few different points, you can see the lines are getting closer together. Once it made this cross here, you can see that's a significant change in which it has come back up. And then you can see the dark green is a sign of heavy buying pressure. The light green is lighter buying pressure. But either way, show the front, you can see once these crossed, if I use this indicator, I said, okay, it's crossed now, I'm going to buy in, then and set up a DLMM, then obviously we'd be in a good spot. I'm looking at it now where I may not get in right now because I'm going to wait to see what it does. And then we'll use our traditional kind of what we do where we look at our supports and our resistances. And you can see that it's currently testing at a resistance now. So we'll be using both data kind of information that we have here. So we'll be using both this MACD indicator and we'll use just kind of the visual supports and resistances we normally use. And so it looks like it's bouncing off here, which is supported and indicated by the fact that we're seeing smaller candles here that are also in a lighter color, showing that the buying pressure is dying down. Sometimes these won't necessarily follow each other. They'll sometimes be in the opposite, indicating a stronger trend than we expect in one way or the other, depending on how they're opposites in. But in this instance, it does look like we're about to see a dip in the SNY, which honestly might be a good time to set up a one-sided pool. So let's go do that. So this is a great example of one-sided pools. I've been seeing more people talk about this, and it's something that I've been more interested in because it's less risky than just spot buying. When you spot buy and set something up, it's much more like if it goes down, you'll take much larger losses than if you just set up a one-sided pool. And so let's see if we refresh this, if it'll get back to normal. And so we're not going to do a huge amount of sizing here. Sometimes I like to check it out. We actually have a lot of Solana to use here. We're going to do this. And the way that SNY has been ranging, I think the 100 bin's probably pretty solid here. So we're going to just do it in a spot 100 bin. You could do a bid ask here or do a hybrid between a spot and a bid ask. But honestly, like I don't see it necessarily just dropping way down here very quickly, which is what I would want to do if I see bid ask. I think it'll drop slowly and have a little bit of fight back to it. And it still hasn't, these lines haven't crossed yet. So I am kind of doing this preemptively, but you can see they're getting closer together. So I'm kind of anticipating that, while also using the information of watching this bounce here to see it potentially come back down. So we're trying to kind of front run it, if you will, to be able to prepare the pool to be able to set up a one-sided SOL pool. And so the idea of this is that we're going to set up this one-sided SOL pool. And the goal is that this token, we think that this, here it is, SNY, we think that this token is going to do well in the long term. And so you can see like in general, it is a nice upward trend. But in the short term, we believe that it's going to go down. And so because of that, we're going to set up a one-sided pool in SOL. So as this token goes down, we are going to buy the token. And so as it comes into these bins here, we'll be buying it with our Solana. And as we buy it, we'll also be earning fees. And so the goal is that it will dip down and then will eventually start to go sideways and then fight back up, right? So you know, it's hard sometimes when you're looking at candles like this to know, like, is this going to continue to come down? Does it look like it's going to fight back? But that's where this indicator down here really, really helps clarify and bring some more data and information, right? Because if I'm just looking at this, like, who knows what's going to happen? It could break back up here. It could come back down. But this is indicating you can see that the buyer pressure is really, really dipping. And these lines are getting closer together. And these lines show both strength of how much being bought, which there's a whole deeper meaning into this. I'm still learning, but essentially the strength of it as well as the price. And so when these two cross over like this, which looks like it's about to happen, it does indicate that it's going to go back into a downward trend. And you can see that this is fairly accurate because you can see where the lines crossed over here, it was showing it into an upward trend. So when the blue line broke above the orange line, you can see it did that, which we can see here. And now you can see that it's doing the opposite. And so we're going to see it now dip. And that's why we set up the pool the way we did. And now it's going to dip into this. And so this is our one-sided SOL pool. We did 100 bin 1% on this because, again, we don't expect this to go like way down. It could, but we expect it to go down a decent amount. Obviously, there's a few different supports that it could come down to. I think that like the lowest I expect it to come to, if it does, would be like right around this 20 mil market cap. It's currently at 25 million market cap. And so I think that's a pretty significant support there. But obviously, there's multiple supports along the way. There's one kind of around this range here, as well as this one here. And so we'll see if it bounces off of those and then fights back, or if it's just going to continue down, and we'll keep watching. And we'll use our MAC indicator here. But that's how we enter in with the one-sided pool. And the goal of this is just to let it come back down. We could just let it come down and then ride back up and just earn fees along the way, which is great. We could also reset it. Once it comes down, we could hold spot for it to come back up and then sell it higher. There's a lot of different kind of hybrid strategies that we can look at with that. So we're looking at SVMA. I want to keep watching this one. You can see the lines are really, really close together here. It could be signaling that it's just going to be in a sideways trend. But I want to get a little bit more information. This is a lower market cap coin. It's at 6 million. Which is kind of the area that I'm liking for early DLMMs, to be able to catch stuff that's has higher upside than downside. But for the most part, I'm trying to DLMM stuff that's more mid cap, right? A lot of stuff that's around this 20, 30, 40 mil range. You can see Mira is coming back down. We're watching Pingu, UFD. Looks like UFD is actually about to break back up. So I might buy back into that on my Vector app. You can see the lines just crossed here. And so it looks like we're going to see that. Let me go ahead and buy some. So in this instance, this is the opposite of the one-sided. So this one, I'm actually watching it break up. We watched the lines cross. It looks like it's breaking above a previous high. And so in this instance, we're going to buy it right where it's at, and we're going to set up a one-sided pool. Let me see. We're going to do UFD here. Okay, so we got SNE, we got UFD. Perfect. And you see this is the high that it broke above, and we can see the crossing of the lines here, and this uptrend starting to build. I'm going to do this on my other wallet. UFD is the one that I like long-term as well, so I think this is a good option. But this is a pretty significant swing here, which is why I expect it to continue to move up. All right, we bought some there. Let's go to our perps so we can see. It does look like Sol is moving back up a little bit as well, which is a good sign. It kind of broke back down pretty heavily, but it looks like it might be moving back up. So that's a good sign. Could be why some of this is starting to strengthen. So we have the one-sided pool there, but we're going to open up our UFD pool, and we're going to do the 100 bin 1%. And we're just going to set this into a one side on the way up. And again, I could set this up like into a bid ask or something like that, but I want to start earning fees right away. And I'm okay with selling some of it like a little bit more early on here. We just want to catch it as it comes back up. So we're going to set up this one side, and we'll keep watching because, again, we read these charts, we use indicators, but this could always change, right? So we want to keep watching and seeing what it does. But you can see here, it does look like the cross happened here. We're now seeing it break back up here, so that's a good sign. This is a good one-sided pool that we had on SNE. We'll go back to that so we can take a look at it. SVMA does seem to be in a sideways pattern, which is normally pretty good for DLMMing, but we're going to watch and wait. We want it to maybe break back down a little bit before we get into it, or if it breaks back up above here and these lines cross again, signaling it's going to break back up, then we might get into it there as well. Mirror looks like it's dying off. I'm going to go ahead and close out of it. To me, it's not worth it to keep watching it. It's unfortunate, but and then we'll watch some Pingu as well. It's a chart that I'm just kind of reading right now, looking to get in as well. I'll be taking some questions and answers and things like that in just a little bit. I used to take a lot of questions and answers, do a lot of Q&A, but I want to make sure that I don't that I don't spend too much time answering those and missing out on the charts and some of the stuff we're doing, especially with me managing multiple wallets. And so I will prioritize my pools and managing in them. And then the secondary thing will be me answering questions. I know the main reason most of y'all are here is kind of to watch and see what I do anyway. And so as much as I love answering the questions, I just want to make sure that I'm being successful in managing my pools, which is ultimately what you're here to see. All right. We're watching a little bit of fight here, but overall still showing a pretty strong trend. And honestly, even if it gets into somewhat of a sideways trend here, that's okay, because of where we entered at. If we need to, we can set up a two-sided pool if it looks like it's not going to continue up strong enough, because it's going to show it's in the sideways trend. But for now, that's not what I wanted. For now, we'll do this because it does look like it might be weakening here. No, it's doing good. Okay. SNI's looking good. So we're looking for SNI here to potentially these lines to cross again here on the MACD indicator. You can see it did bounce off this bottom support. You can see that a lot of this sell pressure weakened down to here. So it does look like they're about to cross back up. And so what I could do here, I could either close out my pool that I have, the one-sided pool, and I can just like kind of let it go back up. I could reset the pool, or I could just let it push all the way back out. Oops, so one SNI. Because you can see here, like it's basically already pushed back up. I didn't look at it quick enough. Yeah, it's pushing back up pretty quick. And so you can see here we earned, $50. And obviously like the overall value of our pool is going to end up being the same as what we entered at, because we entered here, it went down, earned some fees, and came back up. Now, obviously we would like to see these numbers be higher. We'd like to see it sit in that range longer. But the fact that we just made $50 is good, right? Like you're not always just going to hit like giant swings every time. This is a safer play to be able to do this. Obviously, if I would have set up like a two-sided pool, then I would have earned on the way down. And as it's coming back up, I would already just be prepared to do this. But one thing I could do is just close this out in the same way that we just did this with the unicorn fart dust. We're watching the lines cross and start to break back up. I could actually just come and now I can spot buy, right? So I'm watching this. It's about to break above. The lines just crossed. And so I can come in here and we can set up a spot buy on SNI the other way. So we earned $50. But now we're going to try to earn a little more. We're seeing it swap, looking like it's going to come back up. We're watching the lines cross here. And now we bought some. And so now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to set up a one-sided pool moving on the way up here. Again, I could have set up a two-sided pool. It's much easier to set up a two-sided pool. The problem is that if the token would have kept going down and I would have spot buyed and then done a 50-50 and it keeps going down, then I would be at more of a loss than I would be if I did the one-sided pool. And kind of vice versa for this. If basically whenever I was here, if I would have like waited and spot buyed, then I could be further down, like I said. But the fact that I did the one side's good, and then this is more management. But now that it's breaking back up here, I get back in, and then I can set up an upward trend to go this way. Now, obviously, if it breaks back down again, then I would need to reverse and set up something the opposite way. But based on the indicator here, which again, I'm still learning a little bit about, but based on this, it does look like this is going to move into an uptrend. So even though we see a red candle here, it's still showing strength here. And after these lines crossed, it's usually a pretty good indicator that's going to move up. You can see sometimes these lines, when they cross, it's more long-lived like this. And sometimes it's more short-lived like this. I mean, literally it crossed and then crossed back over shortly after. So we could be seeing that on this side, just a short cross and cross back over to come back down. But that's okay. Overall, I like this project. So again, like when we're reading these charts, it's like we're going to do the best we can to capitalize on it. But ultimately, if it ends up not being accurate, which it does look like that's what it's going to do. But if it ends up not, that's okay, because again, we're getting into a token, this SNI token that's been around a while. It's been doing really well. And so it's one that we feel pretty confident in. You can see we did get into UFD as it crossed the line here, but it's been staying pretty close together, and it looks like it may be starting to move sideways or come back down. So I'm going to check out that pool and see what it's doing, because I might need to adjust it or set up a two-sided pool, because we were expecting it to go up, which is why we bought. But if it doesn't keep going up, then we might need to sell it and set up a one-sided pool on the way down. So we're watching closely here. It does look like it's going to do that. Again, this is a little bit more management than what you'll maybe see me do, but I'm trying to get more efficient at what I'm doing. and capitalize on it. So we're just going to close this out. We're not going to make the move yet, but I do want to see, is this going to continue to weaken here? Are these lines going to touch? And if they do, it's going to signify that it's coming back down. We'll sell the token basically right where it was at, where we bought it at, and then we'll set up a one-sided pull on the way down to capture. And so we just want to be prepared to do that, because whenever we're quicker on this, it helps with efficiency. Still watching SNI there. Let's see, UFD. Yeah, they're wanting to cross. They haven't yet. It is weakening though. All right, I'm going to go ahead and sell. I'm pretty sure this is going to keep moving down. We need to do the other thing on our other wallet. All right, done there. Let's see here. Yeah, and you can see it there. It is. The line's crossing and it's breaking back down. So we basically just sold right where we got in at. We got in right around here. Just totally fine. And so now we're going to set up a one-sided pool on the way down. And so we'll just do it on the same pool here. We'll go to the one-sided. We'll set up a 50 bin. We're just going to do spot as it'll break back down. And we're going to add a liquidity here. Sometimes you'll need to do this a few times. And the reason why is because coins will shift a lot. Sometimes they'll be in a sideways trend. And so you'll want to do this sometimes until you catch it to where it's in a good spot where it continues to range where you just set it up, right? And so, yeah, sometimes that takes time to do. You'll need to do it a few times. Again, this is somewhat of a, this indicator that I'm using here and this strategy is a little bit newer. But I've been using it a lot and it's been really, really powerful just setting up these one-sided pools. Now, if you do get into something, which is a strategy that I've used a lot, where you're watching it break above a certain point and then buying in and then watching it continue to kind of range, just doing a 50-50 spot. I still think that's really good, especially on something like UFD, which I think will do well more long-term, or something like Swarm, which could do well long-term. It is a lower market cap, so a little more careful on this one. But yeah, it just kind of depends. All right, let's set up our one-sided on the other side here. And you can see when this line crossed here, after doing this, we decided to get into it. We bought and expecting it to go up. It does look like it's continuing to move up, but it's not necessarily super strong. So it could be showing a sideways trend. We may end up just doing a two-sided pool here if this doesn't move up, which I'll show you how I'm going to do in just a little bit. But first, let me get this one-sided added to my other wallet, and then I want to take some questions as well. We are up to over 350 people watching, and so thank y'all so much for being here. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, sometimes on Fridays. Obviously, we've been over the holidays, so we've been taking a break. We have some big plans for 2025, big plans for Token Guy, my brand, everything that I'm going to be doing. I want to be putting out more content, both live streaming like this and doing more videos for both YouTube and Twitter, more guides, more information. Basically, the goal is I want to make more money than I've ever made in 2025. I want to give back more money than I've ever made in 2025. And I want to help other people make as much money and get back as much money as they can in 2025. And so that's my goal. So I'm doing more research, to more token analysis, more guides, more videos, more content. I want to live stream more. I want to do all of it. And I'm going to be just completely locked in 2025. And so I appreciate y'all being here. If you're along for the journey, thank you so much. Hopefully you've benefited from it in one way or another. The biggest goal for me is to help with education. And so that's what we're going to keep doing. It does look like SNI is just in a really strong sideways trend here. So what we're going to do is we're going to just set up a two-sided pool. And so as I'm watching these swings, there's not really a ton that's showing me that it's going to keep moving heavily in one way or another. And so we're not being super efficient with our capital here. And so we have, let's see, we had set up, with the SNI here, but instead I'm just going to close this and then I'm just going to set up a two-sided pool. We're still going to use this 100 bin 1% here. And we're just going to set it up as a two-sided spot, 50-50. And I think this will be good because then as it moves in between some of these, the way that it is, I think we'll we'll be able to earn, because it does seem like it's in mostly in a sideways trend here. So let's do this. We're going to set that up. Do that on our other wallet as well. And once I get these in a good position, like I said, I'll take some more questions then. We're continuing to watch Unicorn Fart Dust. Does look like it's breaking back down, which is good. All right, we got our SNI pool set up there. Let's check out UFD. So we'd set up this one-sided pool, which you can see it is breaking back down here, doing 7% right now. We'll continue to see what that looks like. The goal would be for this to break down further before it ranges. Now, that may not be the case. It may end up picking back up, but you can see here that based on our MACD indicator, the lines did cross up here, signaling it was coming down. It did bounce off this resistance here, signaling it's coming back down. So using both of these here. And so we'll see when that changes. But right now we're continuing to see this bright red, these bright red bars here. And so that's signaling that it's going to continue to go down. We haven't seen any weakening of this downtrend, which you'll see with the lighter kind of pink color. And so I think we will see it continue to go down here, which is good for our one-sided pool. Now with SNI, you can see here it did cross back over and is breaking back down again. But this is why we set up a two-sided pool. You can see that it's done this multiple times. It's been ranging like this for a very long time. And so we were comfortable just going ahead and setting up a two-sided pool. I could have waited for it to break back down a little bit, but I had already bought some. So I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and set it up here. Again, the end goal would be for this to go up overall or to just sit sideways long enough to earn a ton of different fees. Now, the volume on this, on the 5 minute and the 1 minute, is fairly low. And so you can see the volume has come down a little bit, but overall the 1 hour volume is really nice, and the 24-hour volume as well. And so even though there may be some lulls in the volume on this coin, on the Swarmnode SNI token, I think overall we'll see some good volume on it. And so, yeah, UFD as well, just watching it. SVMA is an interesting one. The volume on it seems pretty strong, and it's in a pretty nice uptrend right now. Obviously, the previous high, it came all the way up and then just actually absolutely crashed up here at almost 9 million. And then it's been slowly making its way back up, which is a good sign. You can see here from the MACD indicator. Oh, wait, no, I want to bring this down. Bring that up. So from the MACD indicator, we can see that the lines have crossed multiple times here where it's kind of been moving up and down. It does look like that at the moment it is in an uptrend. But again, this is a lower market cap coin. And so I might get into this with a smaller sizing, but I just want to be careful not to get in too much here as I'm not sure what it's going to do overall in the long term. And so I'm going to wait to see somewhat of a more significant move before I think I get back into that, watching multiple coins here at the same time. So I just want to make sure, yeah, get in at a good spot there. Let's see here. Just mess around on my other wallet a little bit as well. If y'all have any coins that you want me to look at or anything, any new coins y'all see popping up, just let me know. I am watching in the Discord a little bit as well in case we get some good stuff coming through there. I actually need to, on my other wallet, spot buy some SNI token, which I hadn't done yet. I think this is a good time, though, as we're watching this indicator. And you can see it's some pretty heavy swings here, but overall it's staying pretty constant and well within this range. And so, again, this is the MACD indicator is a new form of information I'm using just to kind of help support what I'm seeing up here. I think it kind of gives me a slight advantage with a little bit of signal information before I see it here, which is what I want. All right, we're setting a SNI pull up two-sided, same way as we just did this one on my other wallet. And then once we get that down, we'll check back into UFD and some of these other coins as well, and I'll answer some questions. One thing I want people to realize is like there's no just like one just right strategy for every coin and everything that you do. Depending on the market cap of the coin, the narrative, the volume, there's so many different things that add up, like what you should do. And sometimes it's a little bit of a feel thing, but it's a lot of times it's based on the data that you're looking at, right? And so you kind of have to make that decision yourself. Like, what do you think of the narrative? What do you think of the utility? Whatever it is behind the token that's making it do well. Do you think it's good enough that even if the trend ends up not being what you think it is, are you okay having that coin, right? And then just reading the information that's at hand, right? So sometimes I get into a token and I expect to be into it long term, but it ends up either doing really well or really bad very quickly. And then I say, well, even though my initial goal, my expectation was to be in this token long term, I don't want to hold on to that. If it ends up doing something drastically different than what I expected, then I just need to make a decision. Hey, like maybe I need to get out of this thing because it's way up and I'm in a lot of profit, or maybe it's way down. I need to reduce my losses. And so don't just expect to go into something saying, all right, I'm going to hold this long term and then continue to do that even when the data says otherwise. You don't want to do that. You want to always read the information that we have, look at the charts, look at the narrative, all the information, and determine, okay, is this still based on my initial goal, what I want to do, or should I change that up? And so sometimes I'll get into a coin expecting to be into it in the short term, and then it just does really well long term. And I'm like, hey, great, I'm just going to stay in this. There's no reason for me to close this out right now when it's doing well. And so it can go both ways. And so just, don't ever hold too tightly to like your goal or your strategy for what you're doing with a specific coin. Just make the best decision based on the information you have in the moment, because that's all we can do, right? We are continuing to see UFD go down, which is good because we did set up this one-sided pool here. UFD is one that I think goes up in the long term. I thought that it dipped down more than this, but maybe it hasn't. The volume on it's fairly low right now. So as we see it start to dip, yeah, the volume on it has just is like stalemated pretty heavily, which is totally fine, because again, we see a lot of spikes with UFD up and down. And so I think the fact that it's a little low right now is totally fine. We're in this one. I think that we'll hold this one long term, but we'll just have to see what that looks like. Obviously, we haven't earned a lot yet, but we are in the 100 bin 1%. So we'll keep watching it. There's a decent amount of liquidity in here, so we should be getting some price action soon as well. Same thing on SNI here, set up that two-sided pool. It's going to continue to range, so that looks good. We are still watching this SVMA. It looks like it's crossed over multiple times as well, which is why we're seeing it in this sideways trend here. And so if it ends up bouncing off of where it is now, we're a little bit lower and coming back up, and we see these lines cross again, then I might get back into it with a smaller sizing. We'll keep watching though. It does look like Pingu might be moving up here as well. I might get into this one. I don't like getting into too many tokens at once, but I do think I want to buy some Pingu. It's the narrative on Twitter has just been growing and growing, and it's one that I think is going to do well in the long term, and I think it'll do well to DLMM also. So we're going to go ahead and buy some here, and we're going to set up a one-sided pool as it moves up, and we'll probably do a spot buy as well. We'll probably do something smaller than the 100 bin, maybe 100 bin. Let's take a look at what's doing well on Pingu. And let me answer some questions. I'm actually going to go all the way to the bottom and answer the most recent questions and work my way back up. That way, if there's any repeats, if I start answering way later than when I started, sometimes I'll be answering questions that like people have already gotten answers to. So basically what I'm looking at here is how much TVL is in, how much volume is it doing. Like this has a decent amount of TVL in it, but the amount of volume it's doing is absolutely insane. And so this may be a newer pool. I'm not too sure, but this definitely looks like as far as earnings, it's going to be the best one. And so we're going to set up a one-sided pool on this. Oh, I'm in Pingu USDC. That's it. Let's see. I wonder if the Pingu Sol 100 bin, 2%. Wow. The Pingu USDC pools are actually doing way better, which is interesting. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but this is doing way more volume than the Pingu Sol pools are. But this is showing a higher return on the TVL, which I'm not sure I understand. I guess the fee structures here are just so much smaller, because you can see like this 200 bin 2% is showing like pretty high fees, even though the volume is lower. Volume is obviously important, but also you need to look at the fee structure to determine what's the best. So like this one may be good, but I may just get into like 100 bin 2% or 100 bin 1% here. Let's go ahead and just do the 100 bin 2%, and then we'll adjust it if needed. We're just going to do a spot 100 bin one-sided pull on the way up. Again, I'm not worried about doing a bid ask. I could do like a slight hybrid strategy, but I do think that with Pingu that it goes up over time, but I think that it's not necessarily going to move very quickly up. And that's whenever I like to use bid ask, when I think it's going to move into the top end of my range, you know, a little bit quicker. And so I'm getting into it now. Obviously, it could come back down, but overall, I'm thinking that this is going to continue to uptrend here. It may come down a little bit before coming back up and be out of my range, but that's okay. And kind of the next significant point in which we'll be watching will be there and here. And so we'll watch it all the way up to here and see what it does, if it does make its way back up. So we'll check back in on it. If we need to, again, adjust our pool, we can do that. I'm looking for this. This does look like it's weakening right around here, but I'm looking for it to continue to weaken and for these lines to cross again to maybe get into a smaller sizing on SVMA. UFD does look like it's about to cross back over again. So let's see. SNI is still doing well. On UFD, we might make an adjustment on our pool as well. Let's see. Hey, thank y'all so much again for being here. Over 400 people watching. I know that it's the holidays right now and less people are on. And so thank y'all for spending your time with me here, even though it is the holiday season. I appreciate y'all coming on and watching me. I do stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. All right, let's check out our UFD pool here. We don't have any like huge runners right now. And so we're just trying to maximize efficiency with some of this. I'm wondering if maybe I should reduce my pool here. So I think I am going to set up a two-sided pool because we're continuing to see UFD, the lines cross here multiple times within a tight range. And so because of that, it looks like it's about to stay sideways. Now it could break back down or go back up, and that's okay outside of the sideways range. But I want to try to capitalize on it moving sideways right now. And so I went ahead and closed out. We had a little bit of UFD from closing the pool from some of the fees, but also from just buying some, not a lot though. And so we're going to want to swap this up some. So we're going to spot buy some UFD, and then we're going to set up a two-side pool. I want to see, like, I've seen 100 bin and then I've seen like 20 bins, you know, and so I'm kind of curious. It does look like it's about to swap and potentially come back up here. I'm curious what that's going to look like. Let's see here. All right, so we spot bought some. Yeah, we did. Let me see what other pools we have for UFD. The fees on it are pretty low right there. Grab the CA here. Like this 20 bin just feels really, really tight. And so like if I put it here and it goes down, like I'm going to take pretty heavy losses. But I'm surprised there's not like 80 or 50 bins that are doing like really well. These obviously have low liquidity, but like this 80 bin 1% to me should be doing well. Or even like an 80 bin 8%, which I'm sure, yeah, down here we have that one. But like there's just not a lot of liquidity in it. And so that may be why like it may not be doing as well. This 20 bin 0.2% is good. Maybe we'll just get into this one. And we'll see how it does. I feel like it's sitting sideways and has a little more potential to go up depending on what Sol does. Solana has moved up a little bit, but it's still kind of sitting sideways as well. Obviously, we want to see this move back up. We'll just try this out. We don't have like a huge sizing. We're just going to autofill and do a Sol UFD pool. This is the 20 bin 0.2%. So even though volume's low, I expect to see a decent amount of fees earned from this. And we'll see where it goes from here. Yeah, SVMA's dropped down. Again, this is a lower market cap coin. I was waiting to see if it was going to bounce, and it's not. It actually looks like it's continuing to trend even lower. I'm going to go ahead and get out of this one for now. It might be one that we get back into later. We do see that Pingu is trying to make a little bit of a move up here. The lines are still pretty close together, so we might actually see a little bit of sideways action start. Needs to move break above that, really. But let's see what happens there. And then SNI has just been sitting sideways as well. Like we said, we could see these lines crossing multiple times, and they're happening within a fairly tight range. And so that's why we went ahead and just set up the two-sided pool. Let's see what the fees are looking like on there. But yeah, we have the two-sided pool set up on UFD, and we have the two-sided pool set up on SNI as well. Yeah, I mean, we're earning 67% on the 24-hour, which is really, really good. Slightly on the lower side of our range, but, we're on the 100 bin 1%, so doing really well. You could go a tighter range than this if you wanted to earn more fees, but I feel pretty comfortable with this range. It allows there to be a decent amount of growth on the way up into the 30 mils and come all the way down to 20 mil without really pushing too far out of my range. And so slightly safer play, but that's what I feel comfortable with right now. I need to spot buy some UFD on my other pool, on my other wallet. And we're going to set up a two-sided pool on it as well. And the goal with these is to have them range, earn some fees for a little while, and then once they break out, sell on the high side, right? So we're making money both off of our TVL as well as on the fees. That's the main goal. Yeah, Magic Eden's been moving up as well. I noticed a few people talking about that. Let's refresh here and see what else we can find also. Y'all give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, sorry about that. We're back. Actually, I don't even need my headphones on. I was listening, but don't even need that. All right, cool. Let's jump back into it here. And I do want to take some questions. I know I haven't right now, but definitely want to. Yeah, I don't see any big runners or anything like that. I want to take a look at the Adam and Eve tokens as well. You can see that, Pingu is moving up. Obviously, we see a huge candle here, but continuing to move up, which is nice. We're seeing a line cross there as well, which is showing a significant increase. We'll look at that one. SNI doing well there. It's a good time we set up that Pingu pool. Set up the one-sided here, so we'll watch it continue to move up. We are in the 100 bin 2%. Honestly, this may the 100 bin may end up being too big because like we just saw a pretty big green candle and like it barely even moved. So we'll need to watch that. Adam's at 5 mil. Man, that thing's moved up pretty well. Volume on it's a little low, so I'm going to stay away from it for now. We're going to keep watching SNI. SNI volume has dipped a little bit. But overall, it's still ranging fairly well, slightly on the downside. So we'll look for it to make a swing back up. UFD as well does look like it's continuing to range sideways also. We'll continue to watch all of these and see where they go. I think this is probably a good time for me to take some questions. So let's do that. All right, going all the way to the bottom. Spore is a good one today. Yeah, we can take a look at Spore. Not sure which one. We'll take a look at this one. Can you show us how to add the MACD indicator in good morning, good night? Yeah, absolutely. So to add any indicator, you just go right here next to like the 1 5 minute, 1 hour, 4 hour and stuff. And it says indicators. You just click on this. There's a ridiculous amount of indicators you can use. I don't use a bunch of them or really any of them at all, except for this one. You just type in MACD and click it there, and then it'll pop up. And if you want to get rid of it, you can just delete it as well. You should just be able to like click settings and delete or remove it, remove indicators or drawings right there. Meteora app needs a dark screen. I know, right? Yeah. Meteor is bright as all get out compared to everything else. Yeah, tons of volatility around Spore right here. It does look like it might be moving into a downtrend, or it already has started to do that. So maybe we'd set up a one-sided pool here. The overall volume does look pretty solid. So let's go ahead and see. It does look like it's the indicator, the line swapped here. It looks like it is bouncing. Let me see. It's hitting an all-time high as well. So that's a pretty good indication that it could move back some. This is where we would set up the one-sided pool. It's good to catch something that has a lot of volume that just hit like really, really high. Oh, wow. There's like not a lot of volume in some of these pools here. Let's do the 125 bin, 0.25%. I think this is pretty good. I was looking for something around the 100 bin, but I think this is solid. And we're just going to set up a one-sided pool like this on the way down. We're just going to do a spot one-sided pool. We add Sol into it on Spore. Now, Spore could move back up here, but I'm just watching the indicator, and this is a good safe play. Even if you think it's going to go back up, like you can just set it up, and then if it does go up, you haven't lost anything because you still have the same amount of Sol you started with. But if it does move down, then you'll make some money. We actually are wanting to make money off the move down here, because you can see here whenever a token pumps up, there's a lot of volume increase. And when it comes down, honestly, there's a lot as well. And so we want to catch it on the way down with the hope of it breaking back up eventually, but we're trying to catch a lot of the downward pressure volume, and then we'll capitalize and close it out at some point. Again, it may not continue to do this. We might have wanted to get into it a little bit higher up, but I think this is probably a good safe spot for us to get into it. SNI does look like the lines crossed back over again, so it looks like it's going to be moving back up, ranging nicely, earning a lot of fees. And same thing with UFD. Line looks like it's slowing down, not crossed back over yet, but maybe it has. Yeah, it crossed right there potentially, but sitting in a nice little sideways trend. Pingu had a pretty big move up here, but now is sitting sideways also. So let's see what Spore does, and let me take some more questions. Brother, using a VPN always, and which country is set up? Yeah, I have it set up on Australia. You can see that up here. I use NordVPN, so. Yep. I checked Squid Game. Squid Game looked like it was dying off earlier. I can check a little bit later. Let me move up here. Hey, YPU, great question. He asked me what's the story with Croak. I've talked about that a little bit. So Croak is a meme coin that I launched. It went all the way up to 4 mil and then broke way back down and has basically been dying off like many meme coins do. The goal of the meme coin was for it to do really well. Obviously, it didn't. Most people would just leave it and say, hey, I tried, whatever. But I actually do have some plans for Croak. I actually have a lot of big plans for myself in 2025. I'll be betting on myself bigger than I ever have in 2025. Like I said, trying to increase my content game. I have some different branding that's going to come out, and I have some news for things like Croak. And also I have an NFT project called Meteora that I manage the fund for. Some of the funds that you'll see me manage on here, if you look at my wallet, the top of it says Meteora. And the reason that is because that is my Meteora wallet. And so that's an NFT project that I have. And so we grow the funds on there. We don't do any sort of direct rev share. It's just a DAO right now. But I have plans for it, for the token, for myself, and kind of bringing all those together. And so again, there's not a ton of information on that yet, but be on the lookout, because in 2025, early on, I'll be putting out a lot of information with some of my new branding, because I'm going all in on myself with my content, with trying to, like I said, make more money, to be able to give more away, and to be able to help y'all be able to grow and earn more as well. Any thoughts on Scout for mid or long term? Let's take a look at Scout. Hey, if I haven't gotten to your question, I am going to be moving through them. And so just you can always ask it again. I might see it better, but if I haven't, I will be getting to it. All right, let's see here, Scout. The volume on Scout is fairly low. Yeah, it doesn't give me a ton of confidence. It might do well. I mean, it's been ranging sideways, but it did come down pretty hard. It doesn't show any significant like increase happening right now. After it made this pump, it's come back down. So I wouldn't be confident in getting in it now. I'd look for it to move back up a little bit more first. What's the difference between HawkFi and Meteora? So HawkFi is an automated system that uses Meteora. So basically, HawkFi, you can set up pools. It connects to both Orca and Meteora, but you can see here like under pools, there's a little Meteora sign next to some of these. And so if you were to set up like a Sol USDC pool, which I've showed me doing in the past, and I will continue to do, I just don't have it set up right now. I move in and out of it. I normally do like the 20 bin here. But when you set this pool up, you can actually have it set up to have auto compounding of fees and auto rebalancing, which sometimes works decently well. I am more confident once they have the event-based balancing instead of time-based. But either way, the auto compounding of fees is really nice just in itself because that can earn you a lot more money over time. And so I use it just for that. And then I'll manually rebalance for now. But you could auto rebalance, have it set up if you're going to be away for a while. It's just that there could be a little bit more in permanent loss because of it checks every hour. And if the price of it moves too much in that hour, then you could lose a little bit. But that actually may be okay because you may have lost even more if you weren't watching it in the first place. So it still could be good for you. But basically, it uses both Orca pools and Meteora pools, and it automates some of the system. So they do take an 8% fee off of the fees earned. So just know that if you're getting into it. But I do think it's a good product. Talking to the team more about some things as well to see, different updates and things like that. Let's see here. Have you done a position on 100 bin with min max at 50% to 0? I'm not sure what you mean, Jack Delaney. Can you clarify what you mean by that? Are you talking about a one-sided pool or a two-sided? Can you please add subtitles? That'd be a good idea. I'm not sure how to do that, but I've seen that done on videos before. I don't know if you can do that live, but I can look into that. UFD is going up as Ron is live. Okay, that could be why. Yeah, the indicator is called MACD, M-A-C-D. You can see right here, you just type in MACD, and that's the indicator. Hey, Fuji, I can't understand this too hard on my brain. I'm talking a little bit about some kind of mid to higher strategy type stuff, right? So like if you've never done DLMMing before, this might be a little bit too much. What I would recommend is I have other live streams as well as a guide, a video guide that I created on my Twitter. You can go watch starting with the basics of how to set up a pool, what DLMMs are, how they work, all that kind of good stuff. So if you haven't already, go watch that. You can obviously watch my stream as well, but it'll be hard to understand some of what I'm talking about without checking out that guide. Richard Gregory, Merry Christmas, man. Thanks. How do you audit tokens for dev wallets selling? Is rug check enough? Merry Christmas. Yeah, so obviously there's like the rug check that's up here that you can look at on different tokens. Sometimes it'll say rug pull and the dev is actually already sold, and then like the community picked it up. And so in that instance, the rug pull wouldn't be applicable. But there are times where it'll tell you up here on Good Morning, Good Night, up here as well as down here, and it'll tell you if like the top 10% looks weird. They have their whole audit right here, safe or not. And then it'll say like whether it's a rug pull. You could also see like on this Spore, there were only 2 snipers that got in, is what it says, snipers. And they currently are holding 12% still, which is a pretty long time. Sometimes it'll say things like snipers, but it's not actually. It might just be like some of the team that got into it early or something, and they're holding long term. And so sometimes this is accurate, sometimes it's not. You could also look at blue chip. There's a few different points of data here that are important to look at. But yeah, I would say you can use different things like Good Morning, Good Night or others to determine, rug pulls or whether something's safe or not. So yeah. Thank you for all the content. It has been super helpful. Hey, I'm glad to hear it. What do you think will happen with Mira? It's hard to know. Bro, is my mouse tripping? What just happened here? There we go. My mouse was must have gotten some dirt in it that was messing with the sensor. Let's take a look at Mira. Mira's moving back up, which is a good sign. Yeah, so we can see here the MACD indicator is signaling that it's hard to see where it crosses here, but it's sitting around the 0 point. It looks like it's crossing to move back up, but it's not super strong. Like the indicator is not super strong. But it does look like it's moving back up here. It did break above this previous high, so that's a good sign. Looks like, yeah, some pretty good confidence in an upswing here. I want to see what's going to happen here as it moves back up, but it might be one to watch to be interested in. Obviously, it's doing a pretty good chunk of volume, so that's always a good sign to DLMM. But we want to continue to watch it here, so we'll see if it dips back down or if it's going to continue to fight up with strength. Spore we had gotten into when it broke below, and even though it stayed fairly steady, you can see the lines here staying close together, looking like they want to cross back, but they haven't yet. And so we're seeing it slowly kind of drip down. And so we'll see if they end up crossing back up and going back up or coming back down. We do have this one-sided Spore pool set up, which is just barely in range, but it's earning 24%, so that's pretty good. Let's see here. SNI, we've got Spore, so SNI still doing pretty good, a little bit on the lower side again, but overall not too bad. This is basically like the same range in which it pinged off the bottom here. UFD, again, just sitting sideways. It's kind of what I expected, which is why I set up a two-sided pool. Pingu still moving up, but it does look like it's starting to slow. We'll see the lines are like touching here, but they haven't fully crossed yet. But it looks like it might be, again, just moving sideways. Sideways is good. All of these are good. We just earn fees. Eventually, we want them to move up and not down. But overall, sideways is pretty good. Does look like it might be bouncing back here. Mira does, so we'll keep watching that one as well. If anybody has anything else, there's a bunch of random tokens that pop up with high volume, so let me know if y'all see anything. If we're not as actively trading, can we apply the same strat using a higher time frame? Yes, Jackson, that's a great question. So you can do that. What I would recommend is doing things that are higher market cap. So you don't want to be looking at this like a coin that's in like the 20 or 30 million market cap and trying to do the analysis on this to hold it long term. I would say a coin that has a more volume, lower market cap and stuff like that, you're going to want to try to stay away from if you're not going to look at it in a while, because like just within a few days, the token could go from, 10 mil to 50 mil back down to 10 mil. Right. And so you don't want to not look at it for a while. And so I'd recommend Sol USDC. I'd recommend different higher cap coins. Probably, something like Pingu could be pretty good. You could do an analysis on it and do a similar thing, right? Because you can see even Pingu has moved a lot, but overall, right, if you're looking at it, like it's actually stayed within a decent range for its market cap, if you're looking at it in that regard. So, yeah, it looks like Mira might be breaking back down. As long as Mira is kind of staying in this bottom range here, it's not one that I'm necessarily going to be super excited about. It does look like it's trying to pick up volume and move up, so we'll continue to watch it. I'll move it to the back of the line here. UFD sideways, SNI sideways, all good there. Spore does look like it's breaking back up, and the line did cross here. And so I think I might set up a two-sided pool on it. Let's see. Yeah, we earned a little bit off of it, but it did move out of range. And again, we had just set up Sol. So like basically this is a free $10 because we got the amount of Sol that we put in back plus $10. We'd like that to be a little bit higher. We are on the 125.25%. So that is something to consider. But it does look to be breaking back up here. So we might end up spot buying a little bit of it. And then setting up a two-sided pool because it is kind of in that point in which it looks like it's going to be ranging sideways. Need to check on my other wallet here as well and see what all I have set up. Let's see here. All right, let's see here. I'm setting it up on my other wallet as well. Did we spot buy some of this? Yeah, it doesn't look like we did. Let's see what other Spore pools there are. Might try this 80 bin 1%. I feel like this one's probably pretty good. Looking for something a little tighter. I'm setting up a pretty small sizing on Spore on my other wallet as well. All right, so we're going to do a two-sided here like this. All right, so we're just sitting sideways on a few different pools right now, which again is great. We're just earning really solid fees. We obviously want to look for these to break back up before we get out of them, but definitely nice overall. All right, let's see here. Set up this pool, and then I want to answer some more questions. So we got the two-sided Spore pool set up, which we can see here, Spore's moving up nicely. We saw the cross happen here, and that's why we got into it. It does look like it's moving up a little more than I expected, so we might actually see some a breakout here. But if not, it'll potentially break off here and then come back down. We're at the nice middle of our range, which is why we set up the two-sided pool. Same thing with SNY here. It does look like it's breaking down more. You can see that pretty heavily with here, but it does look like the sell pressure is softening. So I'm going to look for this line to cross, look for it to bounce back off this support and come back up. Eventually, if it breaks back up to the top end here or even higher, then I'll probably end up selling to get out the pool with a profit. UFD, I'm probably going to hold longer term, but similarly, this line just keeps crossing like crazy. It's just sitting in a sideways trend, which is really nice. And then we're watching Meteora, which looks like it's about to break back down after bouncing off the support here. So we'll see what it does. Pingu still sitting nicely after a nice move up, sitting sideways still, and in earnings. So you can see here we have all of our pools set up. You can see like SNY is earning a little bit more in fees compared to some of these other ones. UFD is doing pretty good. Pingu, we just set up the Spore pool, reset it up, so it's not showing a ton of info here. But let's see what SNY is doing. Yeah, SNY is doing 57%, which is really good. You can see we've already earned about $300. It is slightly on the lower side, but we're going to look for it to move up and break out into the upper end of our range after earning all these fees for us to then be able to sell it. And yeah, we're going to keep watching Spore as well. Let's see here. And we need to set up our Spore pool on my other wallet. Going to do the 80 bin 1%. And then, you know, obviously a lot of these coins follow Solana based on what it's doing. And so a little bit of the market overall is like down because Solana's down, right? I mean, we saw Solana come all the way back up over $200 to $201 twice within the last, since the December 20th, which is where we saw it dip down pretty low. And so it's been ranging, but I mean, it came down as low as 175 here, as low as like 176 here. And so obviously the move up it did here was pretty nice. This little dip isn't really too big of a deal. And so we're looking for, it looks like it's sitting sideways, but slowly trying to move back up. You can actually use the same like MACD indicator we do for the meme coins here as well. And you can see the line did cross right here, signifying that it's in more of a move up. So I don't know how high it's going to move up before it comes back down, but obviously it is in a slightly stronger uptrend than downtrend right now. So let's see, we'll put this here. That one's there. And this one will be there. So we'll keep watching Sol because a lot of things may move on their own, but overall, a lot of coins are going to follow Sol as well. So like if Sol all of a sudden starts to pump, we'll probably see UFD pump, we'll see SNY pump, S'more pump. A lot of these will start to move up. And so that's what we'll look for. Even Meteora might do that as well. Meteora is just sitting in a sideways trend, crossing back over these lines multiple times as well. Let's see if we can take some more questions here. If you're in and out of a coin that hits highs and resets to ranging consistently, would you suggest a one-sided or a 50-50? Great question, Loves. If you're in and out of a coin that hits highs and then resets to ranging consistently, would you suggest a one-sided or a 50-50? If you're just getting into it after it's hit a high and then is ranging, normally I would get into it either 50-50 or one-sided, depending on what I think the chart's showing. If it hit a high, especially if it's an all-time high, a lot of times, even though it ranges sideways, It's hard to know, but it's usually going to dip back down at some point. It depends on how much it's hit, right? Like how many previous highs did it hit on its way up. And so the more highs it hit on the way up before hitting that all-time high, the more likely it's going to break back down, which is where I'd set up a one-sided pool. Whereas if it's like hit a high and then like broke down pretty low and then came back up and then hit another high there, where it's not like hitting multiple on the way up, then it's probably going to signify that it's more ranging sideways, where I'd set up like a 50-50. So it just kind of depends on what the previous history of the coin is. Wilburn, where is Sushi Boy? Hey, I tried to get him on here, man. He says he's not ready yet. If y'all don't know, Sushi Boy inside of Feed Printers is really great. Really cool dude, and drops a lot of good stuff. He's just good at analyzing tokens and finding wins. We appreciate having him, but he's not going to be here today. What's your minimum liquidity to volume ratio? I wouldn't say there's an exact ratio. It's more of a feel, but for the most part, if something's like low market cap, like 3 to like 15 mil market cap, you're going to want to see at least like 500K volume on the 1 hour, preferably closer to like 1 million. Actually, pretty much you want to see like 1 million on the 1 hour or more. And then as it moves up, you'll want to see that number go up, but it also depends on like the competition, right? Like if there's not a lot of people competing, then you can get away with lower volume, earning higher fees. And so one thing that you need to look at is like, you need to come to the pools and actually see how much is in there. Like Spore only has 393,000. That's not a lot, right? Whereas if you look at Mira, it's got 3.4 million, right? So like there's a big difference in the two. Fartcoin's got 7.2 million, right? So like you'll need more volume on something like Fartcoin. You'll need to see like multiple millions on the hour. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to earn a lot. Now, of course, maybe that's okay. Maybe you're okay with earning less because it's more stable like Fartcoin is, and that's totally fine. But on lower market cap stuff, they're way more risky. So I like to see a lot more volume so that I'm earning more fees to offset the risk of that coin potentially not doing well. Can you look at Spore, Adam, Eve? Is there more upside to him? Yeah, I mean, I think the whole idea of like Spore and Adam and Eve is pretty cool. I mean, Spore is the original one, so I think it'll probably end up doing the best out of all of them as they start to break down. And so Spore would be the one that I would invest in out of all of them. But you could do well with Adam and Eve as well. I'm not going to check them out right now, but they could do well. Also, if you have the time, what strategy when dealing with 1 million to 5 million market cap? Thanks for help teaching others. Hey, Richard Gregory, thanks, man. That's a great question. So with 1 to 5 million market cap, you want to use a low amount of your portfolio, a small amount of sizing, because it's a lot riskier. It could rug, right? Even if there's like good teams behind it or anything like that. Also, like the coin I launched, Croak, it like launched up pretty fast within like an hour or two to like 4 million. And then it slowly moved back down all the way down to where it basically was dying off. And so like, I didn't have any control any of that. Like I didn't sell it, right? But just the market does that. And so even though like the dev may be like, whoever's behind the coin may be a good team, may have good intentions, may be able to do everything the best that they can. That doesn't necessarily mean the coin's going to do well, because ultimately it depends on what people feel and think about it. It depends on snipers getting in and out, all sorts of different stuff. And so you just never know how well a coin's going to do. And so low market cap stuff, you just have to be careful on. I would say use a small amount of sizing and try to make sure that you're earning a lot of fees on those. Just because it's a 1 to 5 million market cap coin doesn't mean you're going to earn really well, right? It could be high risk and low reward. You want to make sure that it's high reward on the high risk. And so you want to see like millions of volume, sometimes 1 million or more on those lower caps. You want to make sure you're earning like over 100% on the 24 hours. So like when you look at the pool like this, let me get it pulled up here. So yeah, so when you look at it like this one's earning 56%, which is pretty good. But really on lower stuff, you want to see like 100, 200, 300%, because the goal is not to be in them long term. You're probably not going to see that 2 or 300% because you have to sit in them all day, considering this is a 24-hour basis. But you'd want to see those high numbers because that means that you might earn 10, 20, 30% if you hold it for 30 minutes or an hour, right? And so you want to see higher numbers on those lower market caps. Things like Sol Fartcoin, if you have conviction in both, however, way below your range, do you yourself just keep it open and wait for it to come back into range, even if it takes perhaps 1 week? So this is an interesting thing. That's a good question, Dennis. Like I was in Fartcoin and Fartcoin ended up going down. Let me pull up the chart here. And I just held it. So what I did was I closed out the pool because I had set it up when it was around like 950 mil or like or something like that, or maybe it was close to 1 billion. It was back here. So I had set it up. Yeah, I think I set it up like, honestly don't remember exactly where it was. Maybe it was back here. I forget, but I set it up somewhere around here, and then it ended up dipping down to like this 72, 73 mil. And I was like, dang. And it went way out of my range because I was in like a pretty short 20 bin or something like that. And so I just ended up closing out of the pool. But I'm like, I really think that this coin's going to go up. So I closed out of it. And then whenever it came back up to where I started around the like 900 to 950 mil range, I went ahead and added it back and then wrote it up, made a bunch of money, and sold at the top. And so it depends on the coin and what you're doing. But in this instance, I thought it was going to go back up. So for instance, like I've been buying Fartcoin around the 900 million range, right around here, because I think that this is going to make its way back up once Sol starts to go back up. I just think it's down because Solana's down. And so I'm going to buy into this because I think as Solana grows, Solana may go up 5%. And Fartcoin is going to go up 15%, right? So it's exponential. So a lot of times when Sol's down, I don't really worry about it too much. It actually makes me put more into the things that I think are going to do well long term. And so you kind of have to base that for yourself depending on the coin, but that's kind of how I view it. Don't understand the part where you add LP. Yeah, let me see here. So just as like a basis, like just to show y'all, so you can buy the token spot, meaning you just literally buy the token at the current value that it's at, and then you have some of the token. You're creating a token pairing, right? A liquidity pairing, meaning that basically when you have half of, you have one token and then you have the other token. People, when they sell their SNI for Sol, or they sell their Sol for SNI token here, basically they'll go through one of the liquidity pools on the blockchain, right? And in Meteora, we want them to go through our pool. And so that's dependent on the percentage, on the fee percentage, how many people are buying, the volume, all sorts of different stuff. But the goal is to create a pool like this one that's going to earn a bunch of fees. And so basically you're providing both of the tokens so that as people are buying and selling, there's less slippage that occurs. It's more efficient. And so for providing this service and risking our money on the token and providing that, we end up earning fees. And so that's kind of how it works. And so when we add it, we're just adding both tokens. Now, you could also just add one side to the equation, which you could do as well, either way, and earn fees that way. But basically the token, based on its price and where you put the coins at, or the price in which you put the pairing of coins at, it'll move up and down. And so obviously the more it moves down, you'll lose money on your overall TVL, even though you're earning fees, which could offset it or may not. And then obviously if you catch it on the way up, then that's good as well, earning fees, and you have increase in TVL. So that's kind of the gist of it. Chris asked, why don't you calibrate the range on a one-sided pool to catch more volume in a concentrated range? So you can do that. Like if I set up a one-sided pool like I did, I think all my stuff's two-sided now potentially. I don't think I have any more one-sideds, do I? Yeah. But like the UFD here is a 20 bin. It's a little bit of a tighter bin. The issue with it is that if you set up a one-sided pool and like you concentrate the range much, much lower, like this is a 20 bin, so this is fairly concentrated. The problem is that if the token ends up dropping too much, then all of your money is concentrated in a very small range. And so you're spending all of your Sol buying up the token at not far from the price in which you started. And so, yes, you'll earn more fees, but there's also much more risk that you'll lose money and have impermanent loss. And so impermanent loss is basically whenever you buy into a token or set up a pool like this, the value of the token goes down and therefore you lose money overall. That's the gist of impermanent loss, right? And so the more concentrated you have your money, the less, the higher risk and the more you can lose. So yes, you can earn more fees, but also if the token ends up keep going down and down after you've bought up that token, well, you spent most of your money right there. Whereas if you had a wider range, your money is very well spread out. So if the token starts to drop, you'll earn money. But if it continues to drop, you can close out of the pool and you've only spent a portion of your money instead of all of it in that short amount of time. You've been buying it lower and lower and lower. And so instead of buying it, let's say like UFD, we're buying it at, you can see the chart here. We've been buying it at 144 mil. We've been buying it all the way down to 137 mil, right? But we're buying it at 144, 143, right? But if I would have set it in a tight range, let's say I bought it all the way down to 140. Well, all of it I bought, let's say I spent 50 SOL, all of that 50 SOL is going to be bought right here. And so the further this goes down, the more I'm going to lose because I bought it here. Whereas if I have a wider range, it's only going to spend a little bit up here, and then it's going to spend a little bit here, a little bit here on the way down. So you take less loss, less impermanent loss, the wider your range is. And so it's that risk reward thing. You have to decide, is it worth it to have a tighter range, knowing that I could lose more money, but with the risk reward of being also able to earn more money with fees. So you have to decide that for yourself. I personally try to find some sort of hybrid strategy between the two. I don't know when the HawkFi event rebalance will be added. YP, if you're holding Croak, just keep holding. I'll be announcing some stuff soon. At which rate do you reclaim fees if you want to compound them? It just depends. So like if I know that I'm going to be getting out of a pool soon, I don't worry about compounding them because it's not going to make a big difference. If I think I'm going to hold it more longer term, then I'll just go ahead and claim. But it also depends on how much you have, right? Like if you can claim at least like 20 or 50 bucks or more at a time, then it makes sense. But if you're only like, I don't know how much money you have in the pool. And so if you're only making a few dollars at a time, then you may not want to claim that often because you'll end up eating into your profits with the fees that it costs to close and open pools often. How often do you use Orca? I don't use Orca very much at all. The only time I use it is whenever I use DeFi Tuna, which is something I've been looking into more recently and messing around with. The lending is pretty good as far as like what you can earn here. And then you can leverage your pools here and earn more, which is pretty cool. There's a lot into this. I want to set up, create a video on how to do this, but I'm not going to do it right now. But I've been doing this, and these are connected to Orca pools. So that's the only time that I'm doing it. But right now I'm trying to farm the Meteora airdrop. So I'll be using Meteora mostly, also because I earn money on Meteora. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Do you think Fartcoin and ARK are decent pools to have running 24/7? Yeah, I do. I mean, obviously that can change at any time, but those are both been fairly consistent over time. Yeah, you can DLMM Sol USDC right now, even with the market being volatile. You just need to watch your pools in case you need to swap it up. SNI looking like it's at its support. Would you change any position, or you're happy for as long as it's in your pool range? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, obviously it's still, this is all the way down to 20 million. I'm good with that. And so that's why I set up these lines like this. And so you can see this is a pretty big support here. Now this is a big support here as well. And it bounced off of that. So that's good. And it's moving back up, which you can see from the cross here on the MACD indicator, and it moving up. It actually may continue to move up. We'll watch this, but either way, we're good with it ranging all within here and even coming down all the way to the 20 mil range as well. But if this does end up breaking back up here, then I might end up selling it and taking advantage of the profits. UFD, I think we had set up we did a 20 bin pull on this, which is probably not the best thing to do. It looks like it's falling pretty heavily here. This is the support in which it's going to hit. And so we're right at the end of our range. And so we'll see if it bounces off this support, then we will, then we'll keep holding this pool as it bounces back up, because it is technically still in range, even though it's like right on the edge. It may move out of range a little bit as it bounces off the support. But if it ends up dropping below this, then we'll definitely close it out. We'll just take the loss on it. Obviously, we're earning some fees as well, but that definitely won't offset the amount of loss that we would take here. And we can watch the MACD indicator to see, like, it's still pretty bright red. So it's signifying that it's probably going to drop a little more. But as it gets a little closer to this line, which it's about to do, that's what I was about to say. We're hoping to see a little bit of pink. And if so, that's going to signify that it might be bouncing off this support and coming back up. And we'll look for these two lines to close in and eventually cross somewhere around here. So we'll see what it does, but we definitely want to keep watching that. Whereas on the opposite's happening here with SNI. So you can see here, we're seeing some dark green and it's continuing to move up here. And these lines are widening, and that's a signal that we're going to see it keep going up. Now, at some point that could change, but obviously that's a good sign as that moves up. Spore still doing really well. Also, you can see it's continually crossing over multiple times up and down here, ranging nicely. I'm pretty sure we set up a two-sided pool on Spore. Let me just double check here. It's just Lindy asked, the gray bars below an open position is where other people have their liquidity, right? Yes. And that's a good example of being able to read, like, where other people have their liquidity, because it could determine whether a token is going to have trouble moving up or have trouble moving down. If people have a lot of liquidity provided on either side, it kind of creates like a barrier or a wall, which is interesting for sure. I don't think I set up my spore pool. Yeah, I didn't. We're going to set up a one-sided on the other side here. And I'll be streaming for about another 10 to 15 minutes, and then I'll be hopping off. I just want to let y'all know. Spore does look to be moving up. The indicator did cross, showing that it's got a strong upward trend. So that's a good sign there. My spore pool didn't go through on my other wallet. I thought I had created it. But yeah, it's doing well. We're still kind of at the center of our range, earning 36%. I think this was a little higher before, but not bad. And we can see that there. SNI continuing to move up, but you can see here, the lines had moved apart pretty heavily, and we were seeing lots of dark green. And now this is starting to weaken a little bit. That doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to like come back down, but it does show that like the initial buy pressure up is weakening some. Obviously, there's a lot of times where it'll come down and up and down and up and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it does want to continue moving up, if we see like a little bit of weakening, but then it fight back. But we'll continue to watch to see, because we might end up getting out if it's near the high side, or we may just continue to hold depending on if these lines still look like they have a decent amount of distance between them, which means that even though we're seeing a little bit of resistance, it's more likely to keep moving up. And we did see UFD bounce here. You can see again, using the MACD indicator, it did bounce off this line, and you can see the weakening here of the sell pressure. And so we'll want to keep watching that though, with it here near the low end of our range, but overall it's looking okay. And I'm going to get out of Mira now. I know a lot of people were interested in this and watching it and stuff, but it does look like it's just sitting sideways, slightly breaking down below where I feel comfortable with it. So I probably won't get into it right now. And Pingu is a long-term hold. We expect it to range around here for a while after it made a nice little move up. So we'll continue to watch it and see what it does. But again, a lot of this is just following Solana, which you can see Solana is now dipped back down a little bit after trying to move up, which makes sense that a lot of these coins are struggling and coming back down some. You can see that with Fartcoin. You can see that with UFD. A lot of them are going to follow Sol. You can see that with Pingu. Pingu tried to make some pretty strong moves up, but as Sol starts to dip back down, we'll see that with the other ones as well. SNI is fighting against that a little bit, but overall, I think it'll still have a similar trend. Obviously, if we see Sol pick back up, I think we'll see SNI pick back up as well. But still holding strong, price still going up, which is a good sign. We'll look again, just maybe to find an exit on SNI at some point soon. And then on Spore and some of these other ones, we're going to continue to hold. I'm going to get out of the Fartcoin chart here. Let me see what Spore is doing here. I think I need to set up a two-sided on Spore on my other wallet. I'm actually just probably going to sell it on my other wallet to I don't have a ton of liquidity to work with over there, so it's not worth it for me. I'm just going to put it back into Solana and let it sit there until Solana comes back up. All right. Let me see if I got any more questions I can answer here. Thoughts on ARK? I really like ARK. I'm not sure where it's at right this moment. Let's see. I don't currently hold any, but it's one that I'll probably end up getting back into at some point over the holidays. I just was holding off. It looks like it dipped down with Sol, but it looks like it's fighting back up pretty nicely as well. But it's starting to stall here. So you can see that even though the price is moving up, the actual indicator down here is showing that it's probably going to see a pretty strong reversal. So maybe we'll set up a one-sided here and catch it. I do feel like I might be in too many pools at once here. So that's why I'm going to look to make some exits on some of them. We're going to do the 100 bin 1%. We really like this one. It's just a safer play. The 80 bin 0.8% is also really good. We're going to just do the one-sided pool like this. We'll bring it in just a little bit, but overall, leave it pretty close to the default. You can see other people's liquidity here as well. Most people have it near here, not as low down there. So we'll set up the one-sided on ARC, because even though the price is going up, you can see here the lines are converging, and it looks like you're seeing a little more sell pressure. We'll have to see, because it's not really like strong, so it could come back up, but based on the signals, it's looking like it'll probably come back down. Spore's good. SNI, oh, we missed it. So SNI did break back down here. The lines look like they're about to come back in touch. Totally fine. We'll just keep holding it until we see it break back up. And same with UFD. It looks like it's chilling as well. So right now we're in a lot of sideways trends with everything. And so I think this is probably a good time for me to hop off. Yeah, everything's sitting pretty sideways right now, but we're just earning fees. We didn't have any like big runners today, and that's totally fine. That happens. Sometimes we'll catch some big runners and make some big money pretty quick. The power is in consistency, sticking around, continuing to do this over and over. I'll be happy making a little bit of fees here and there, a little bit of growth, and then hitting the big ones whenever I do, trying to reduce my losses as much as possible. Just want to thank y'all for being here today. We ended up hitting over 500 people watching, almost 550 between YouTube and Twitter, which is a lot considering it's literally the day after Christmas. A lot of people are on holidays. A lot of people are just getting back to work and things like that. So thank y'all again. I do stream every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I do have some big brand updates and things like that I'll be making with my content to try to make it even better, to have some better graphics, just overall some different stuff that I'll be doing. I also have my Mateys Discord, which I'll be promoting a little bit more. Y'all see that come as we get closer to 2025. And so just thank y'all again for being here, for supporting me. I really, really appreciate it. And if you need any more info or want to learn more about it, I do have my ultimate DLMM guide, as well as some other guides on some other different things as well on my Twitter and on my YouTube you can check out as well. So thank y'all so much for watching. Again, I appreciate it so much, and I hope y'all have an amazing day.